Hi, I am Lamarr Townsend Tarot, back with another psychic reading. This time it's on Janet Jackson. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Nasty. Nasty boys. So thank you for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, comment, and share with your friends and family. Keep in touch with me on my social media. My Instagram and Facebook are both Lamarr Townsend Tarot. And my website is lamarrtownsendtarot.com. So if you would be interested in a personal reading from me, I do astrology, natal chart, birth chart readings. I also do psychic tarot readings via the phone, email recorded readings. I also do email readings, and more. So check them out. My website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. Alright, and I also do astrology, birth chart readings, and candle work. I do currently have a special, the New Year special for 2020, where you get one candle, you get a 30-minute recorded psychic tarot reading, and a 30-minute recorded birth chart reading. I also have the $55 special, where you get a 20-minute psychic tarot reading and a 20-minute birth chart reading. So thank you to those who have purchased those specials, and for those of you who purchase readings from me and continue to purchase readings from me. If you hear any background noise, please excuse me. My window is open, even though it's freezing outside. I like fresh air when I do my readings. And yeah, so thank you for listening and watching. And yes, make sure you subscribe, like this video, comment, and share with your friends and family. And make sure that you also hit the bell next to the subscribe button, which means you get a notification every time I go live. And make sure you hit all notifications when you hit the bell. So on one of my recent psychic readings, I had a viewer comment. Thank you, by the way. I don't know what your name is. I'm going to have to look up what your name is. But someone commented and asked if I could do a reading on Janet Jackson. And they asked a few questions about Janet, like how was it growing up for Janet? How did she feel being under Michael's shadow? How did the Super Bowl affect her? Does she think she's a legend? So I'm hoping that we go through all these questions, during the reading that I do for her, the energy channeling. But I've done a reading on Janet Jackson a while ago, a couple of years ago, and it was when I think her and Wissam were still together. So I don't know necessarily what I said in that reading. Obviously, I don't remember. But I'm excited to do this reading for Janet because I actually love Janet. Janet was actually one of the people I looked up to when I was younger. I grew up in the 90s, and Janet was still pretty big back then. She was really big in the 80s, but I think in the 90s was like her peak. When she was in movies, and she still had like some banging songs, and yeah, like I was literally obsessed with Janet Jackson. And then the Super Bowl thing happened, and she never kind of got back on top again, and seemingly, even though she still has it, from what I saw of the State of the World tour. But let's just skip all the niceties and all the small talk and get straight into the reading. So as you all know by now, I like to start my readings by cleansing the energies. Alright, so I got a fresh new sage stick. So this will be the first reading that I use this sage stick on. And who better to use it on than Miss Jackson, If You Nasty. That's one of my favorite songs. Nasty Boys, I love that song. Thank you for cleansing and cleaning the energy of this deck. Alright, why do I always say that? Like, I always talk like I'm about to do a tarot reading. I think because I've just been doing tarot readings so long. And this kind of energy channeling, not reading with cards, is, on camera at least, is new to me. I've been doing it behind the scenes for a long time now, though. Thank you for protecting the energy, thoughts, mind, and emotions of me and those watching this video. In Jesus' name I pray and thank you. Amen, amen, and amen. Come on, baby, let's get away. Ooh, love will never do. I'll never do without you. I just had to get that out. I love Janet. I really, really do. So let's get into Janet's energy. Janet grew up around obviously a very musical family, so I think, Janet adopted a lot of her siblings' nuances, a lot of her siblings' character traits in terms of music, in terms of being on the stage. So I think Janet emulated, one of the first people Janet emulated growing up in terms of performing obviously was her siblings. And I think and it's interesting because they're all talented, but I think specifically Janet and Michael were always the ones, especially at a young age. There's something about Janet and Michael when they were young that it was easy to spot the talent within them versus I think the other siblings. It took a while for them to, I think, grow into their talents, but I think Janet and Michael specifically had something from the start. And that's actually kind of what brought Janet and Michael together. in terms of them getting along really well. And there was a little bit of kind of sibling competition, a little bit, but I feel like it was fun between Janet and Michael. It's kind of like, the little brother, big sister, kind of, just, I don't know, it's just kind of like fun and goofy, and it just seems like fun between them. But I feel like growing up, Janet emulated her siblings. It's interesting because I feel like I just saw like Joe sitting on, or Janet sitting on Joe's lap, and Joe asking Janet, "What do you want to be when you're older?" And Janet actually replied as being a dancer. So I don't know if initially Janet wanted to actually get into music. I think Janet wanted to do her own thing. I think Janet initially wanted to just do dancing. But I think had she gone the route of dancing, I think she would have eventually done music, because I think she would have eventually done music that she herself would dance to. So it's like, if she hadn't have gotten into like being an artist, I think she would have gotten into making beats or something like that, but I think eventually she would have been an artist. I think Janet was always meant to like go her own route though in terms of her artistry. There's something very unique about her, very unique to her and her talent. So that's what I see with Janet. I think growing up for Janet was a little rough. She obviously didn't have the normal childhood. By the time she was a child or a teenager, I feel like Janet was pretty much a superstar. She was well known. She had to be very careful, I feel like, of like being out and being by herself and being recognized, because I feel like there would be crazy moments where like a fan would come up to her, or someone may try to like grab her. So I feel like Janet had to always kind of have people around her even at a young age. I wouldn't be surprised if Janet has had some type of abuse or scary things happen, like almost being kidnapped or something like that. Like I feel like that has happened to Janet, especially specifically when she was younger. But I feel like there's something about her and Michael where Michael, I feel like, was a coach for Janet growing up in terms of her fame. And I think Michael would sit Janet down, or they would talk and be like, yeah, these things are going to happen to you. This happens to me all the time, or this happened to me as I was coming up, so just be prepared for that. Look out for this or that person in the industry. So I feel like Michael actually gave Janet a lot of advice in terms of coming up in the industry. But I feel like Janet has always been someone that has always been someone that aligned herself with the people she wanted to align with. Because I feel like it's like sometimes she would be set up with studio sessions, and it's just kind of like, it would be studio sessions that with people that Michael had worked with, and Janet's kind of there like, okay, I'm only here because Michael worked with you all. Like, we have no connection in terms of the music I want to make and the music you're trying to impart on me. So why am I here again? I feel like Janet is the type of person that's just like, eventually, and I guess that's where the album Control comes, because I think eventually she just got tired of like not being able to do things her way. Literally, she got tired of not being able to do things her way. She wanted to take control. Control. And that's what I feel with Janet. And I feel like obviously the control started with her taking control over her music and the direction of her career, and that trickled into the home, and I think that's how eventually Janet broke free from being attached to her home, being attached to her father and her mother. I think there's something about Janet for Joe where he was the last or Janet was the last child that he had a chance of like kind of leeching onto and controlling. Alright, I feel like Joe tried to do the same thing to Michael, but Michael eventually had reached a point where the people around Michael pushed Joe out. Alright, and I feel like that actually made Joe really bitter and strained his relationship with Michael Jackson and Joe. Because I feel like the people around Joe, the people around Michael's executives, Michael's handlers, lawyers, whoever, pushed Joe kind of out, side of the circle. So he wasn't so attached to Michael, and he couldn't necessarily leech off of Michael. And when I say leech, it doesn't necessarily just mean money. It also means energy, but also their own artistry. Like I feel like there's something about Joe where he kind of wanted to be in the forefront in some way. Like he wanted to be in music. He wanted to be a superstar or something like that. So he kind of lived vicariously through his children, and I feel like he did the same. He tried to do the same thing to Janet, but Janet, even from a young age, has always been someone that was feisty. Even as a child, would let you know, no, she didn't like that. I feel like she was very feisty in the sense of like she would like hit you or fight you too. Like I feel like Janet growing up was like a fighter. Like she was very rough, like could play with the boys kind of thing. So I feel like early on, Janet was having none of Joe's nonsense, and I feel like early on, Janet kind of pushed Joe on the outside as well. And that's something that happens with Joe with the family is he gets pushed on the outside a lot. So that's, frustrating from Joe's perspective, and that's something he didn't like because being pushed on the outside would also literally strain his family ties. And meaning family, ties to his children that he was being pushed away from. And this happened with Janet Jackson, I feel. I feel like growing up, it took Janet a little while to find her voice or to find her rhythm in terms of her music, in terms of what was really her thing. But it's interesting. I feel like Janet really had peaked and matured in terms of her womanhood and in terms of her artistry. I feel like in her actual 30s and 40s. And that's interesting because they say that most women are like at their best age around like 30 or 40. So I feel like Janet is really the embodiment of that. So you may want to look back at her catalog or her artistry because I remember like when I was growing up in the 90s, I think Janet had to be 30 something then, cuz or maybe even the early 2000s because I'm also an early 2000s kid. In the early 2000s, I feel like Janet was at least in her 30s or 40s, but she still looked like a 20 something. So you have to go look back at her career in that time, and I feel like she's literally the embodiment of a woman living her 30s and 40s at her best age. Us literally seeing her grow from a young child to a woman, that kind of thing. So I think that's why the transitions from Janet's career worked so well for her because she was literally the embodiment of every kind of age. That, teenage, trying to find yourself, young 20, young adulthood, trying to find love within yourself, love outside of yourself. That's the way love goes. Ooh. Like, literally, like, it's very, very interesting. Janet, was that's one thing that's always worked with Janet though is that she's always been genuine in terms of her artistry. Like if it doesn't make sense to her, if it doesn't make sense for where she's at in her life, she's not gonna go with it. I feel like part of Janet's issue though is at some point it became a bit gimmicky. I'm gonna get into that in a second. Yes, so at some stage I feel like something became a bit too gimmicky, and when I say that for Janet, I mean more so trying to keep up with the times. In terms of her career, and I feel like somehow this ties in with the Super Bowl. And let's get into the Super Bowl really quickly. Let's see what I see around that. Um, it's weird because I feel like part of it was planned. Like, I feel like obviously it was planned for Justin to take off Janet's top and to reveal, but I feel like she had a pasty underneath or something originally, I feel. But at the same time, some part of it feels like a stunt. Like, I feel like part of it was a stunt gone wrong. I feel like it was a stunt in the sense of he was meant to take off her top, but I feel like it was a stunt gone wrong. Something about it went wrong. So I don't know if I think Justin may have taken off too much, or I think I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like Janet didn't even want to do. She was apprehensive about it from the beginning. She was like, I don't think I want to do this. Like I don't feel comfortable with it. But there's something about Little Kim. Do you guys remember when Little Kim and Diana Ross, Little Kim was wearing that little, and this is iconic now, Little Kim was wearing that purple lavender bodysuit and she had one boob out and the boob was covered with a pasty. I feel like it was something along those lines that Janet was trying to recreate. They were trying to recreate in some way, shape, or form. But I don't know, and if I remember correctly, I think her boob, like, wasn't Janet's boob pierced? There's something about the fact of her that her boob was pierced that makes me think it was a stunt. Maybe her boobs were pierced already, but I just feel like some part of it was a stunt and it went wrong. So, and I think that's why the reaction was so swift and harsh. Because it was a stunt gone wrong. I mean, I'm hearing Nipplegate, so I don't know if it was called Nipplegate back then. But I remember when it happened, and all I remember when, like, I watched this when it first aired. And all I remember was at the end of them performing, like, Justin just pulls her top off. And, like, it looked like her boob was out, but I just remember, like, the nipple was kind of covered, but I feel like it was covered by a nipple ring or something like that. And then it kind of just like was there for like a couple seconds, maybe 10 seconds at the most, 20 seconds at the most, and then it kind of panned out and they quickly went to a commercial. So just even like picking up back up on that, and I haven't thought about that in years. Wow. Part of me feels like it was like a stunt gone wrong. But I feel like Justin, something tells me, and I could be crazy, I could be conspiracy, something tells me Justin was in on that. Something tells me Justin was in on the Nipplegate or the Nipplegate going wrong. I don't know, like, if Janet was 100% aware, like, she knew what was going on or what was going to happen, but I don't know. Something about it is just fishy and it's coming from Justin's side. So I don't know if his camp decided on something. Like, I almost feel like Justin's camp told him to pull it all the way off because somehow they knew Justin would look good or would be the one to get a lot of promotion or a lot of fanfare from it or something like that. I could be crazy, but this is what I'm picking up. I think Justin knew something about it. Obviously, he's not going to admit to it. But I wonder if Janet Jackson and Justin even talk today. Because I think Janet actually feels slighted by Justin. Like, I think Janet even feels like Justin knew. He knew. This is very interesting. I don't know, I think it's kind of conspiracy-ish. I don't know, you guys. I think it was a stunt gone wrong. I think, obviously, he was meant to pull it off. I think something about it feels like he pulled off too much. Maybe they were talkings of, wouldn't it be funny if you just pull the whole thing off? Like, and maybe it got to Janet's camp. Like, wouldn't it be funny if, like, he just pulled the whole thing off? But I feel like, I don't know, there's something about pulling the whole thing off and that not being the original plan somehow. That not being the original plan somehow. And I feel like they knew they were going to get backlash from it, but they were going to somehow use Little Kim, like, in, like, the Little Kim thingy. As, like, well, Little Kim did it, so why can't Janet do it? Like, that kind of thing. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Little Kim and Janet would have ended up doing, like, a song together. Do they have a song together? Like, I feel like there was some whole campaign behind it, but then it went wrong and everything kind of fell apart. Because I see Little Kim showing up as well. So, I don't know. I'm just a psychic picking up on the energies. This is what I see. And, I mean, it definitely killed Janet's morale. Janet was, I mean, I think this situation actually depressed her for a while. I think it actually depressed her for a good bit and sent her into a little bit of a spiral. Um, yeah, I think it sent her just into a spiral in some way. But I feel like she learned a big lesson in terms of learning who you align yourself with and who you don't align yourself with in terms of the industry. Like, remember I was saying something about gimmick. Janet learned something about being gimmicky in that situation. Like, okay, like I gotta stop the gimmicks, because there's something about her and Justin actually being together that was a bit gimmicky as well. And I think Justin at the time was a pretty hot artist. Like, he was like kind of like the Justin Bieber of today. Well, the Justin Bieber of yesterday, I suppose. Not so much today since he dropped Yummy, but I don't know. There was something about Justin and Janet where they were like, I mean, I'm sure they liked each other. They're great dancers and stuff like that. But I feel like, I don't know. There's something about them where it just feels like even them two together feels gimmicky, and I don't know. It's just like something about it. I just feel like Janet should have even never collaborated with Justin. And I wouldn't be surprised if Janet does not like Justin or if they don't get along in some way, shape, or form this day. I didn't expect to see all that, but what I see for Janet moving forward, I feel like Janet is focused on the cute little baby. I forgot his name. I can't think of his name, but he's absolutely adorable. I actually think Janet is either going to end up getting married again, or engaged, but she's definitely going to be in a relationship soon, and I feel like it's going to be someone, once again, outside of her race. I feel like they could be white, but I feel like they're more so going to be someone that could also be Middle Eastern once again or something like that. So that's what I see for Janet. I think right now she's doing her Vegas residency, if I'm correct. Um, I see another tour coming up for Janet. But it feels like she's touring like around the world, like she's doing dates all over the world. So I feel like after the Vegas residency ends, she may take a little break, but I feel like she's gonna come back out with either new music or she's gonna do another tour, kind of like a State of the World tour. How she just dropped a tour out of nowhere. I feel like she may do something like that again. And that may actually be something that works for Janet. Like we may just throughout the years she may just drop a new tour, and everyone goes wild. Um, but I think Janet's gonna find something that works with her in her career and allows her to sustain her career and also sustain her income and her money. Um, yeah, that's what I see for Janet. And she's gonna focus on kind of attracting the youth in some way. So she may end up making music. She has to be careful of being gimmicky though. I think she's learned her lesson with that. But she may start doing something like that where she wants to connect more with the youth. So that's what I see with Janet. I hope to see her in concert one day soon. I love Janet so much. And I'm actually sad about this Super Bowl situation. I didn't expect to see that. Justin, I'm kind of upset, but and I kind of always felt iffy about you in the first place. Just from a lot of stuff. I mean, I could do a whole Justin Timberlake reading, honey, but I'm gonna leave that for that reading when I do that reading, and I'm gonna focus on Janet in this video. Janet, that was a lovely reading. Thank you for allowing me to read for you. Thank you for listening and watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, comment and share with your friends and family. Keep in touch with me on my social media. Lamarr Townsend Tarot on Instagram and Facebook. And also check out my website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com, to purchase a reading from me. I am available. Once again, I do astrology, birth chart, natal chart readings. I also do psychic tarot readings and candle work. And there are always going to be more products coming as time goes on. So thank you for listening and watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Or I'll see you for your own personal reading. Either way, I'll see you soon. And you have a great one. And Miss Jackson, girl, drop a new album soon. We need a new album, honey. Alright, love you guys. I have to go to get to my client now.